One of the great joys of doing Hitting the Books is the opportunity to talk with some other people who are in the business, broadcasters, writers, executives, coaches, managers. We've done that. Rich Griffin was the publicity director in charge of what was going on with the Montreal Expos way back when. And over the last 22 years, baseball columnist, beat writer with the Toronto Globe covering the Toronto Blue Jays. Great to have you with us.
Thank you, Gary.
Really appreciate you doing this. So the question's easy.
Yeah.
Your favorite book?
My favorite book is one that I read a long, long time ago, 1,000 Days by Arthur Schlesinger Jr., about JFK and his time in the White House. And it was the original book before all the scandals and the assassination theory books. And I've read all of those since, but to this day, 1,000 Days is the one that I go back to because JFK was one of my 5 favorite people of all time. I was born in Jamaica and grew up during the Cuban Missile Crisis on the north shore of Jamaica, looking over at Cuba, wondering what was going on. And the book helped explain it to me. And I moved to Montreal in 1963, and within 2 months, JFK had been shot. And so it has a special place in my library.
Do you go back and reread that book? You say you go back. Do you do that?
I do. I have an office at home, and it has a prominent place on the shelf with all the conspiracy books with it. But whenever there's something comes up that I need to refer to historically, I go back. I read it in the late '60s, early '70s when I was in college, and yeah, it's my go-to book for U.S. history and the Kennedy era. And it's funny. History and biographies are the ones that I go to when I'm on the road, when I need some entertainment, because they also teach me a lot about life.
Now, you are a great writer in your own right, and I mean that sincerely. And you've been awarded numerous times here in Canada. I've always thought Schlesinger was he was involved in politics, but he was a great writer.
Yeah, he was. And the thing about the Kennedy White House, it was full of intellectuals, unlike the current White House, could I say?
You can say that, yes.
And it was all college educated, and there was a real knowledge and a smart feel to that White House, and it's rarely been repeated since. And Schlesinger was a great writer. He was a friend of JFK's, but I don't think that in any way takes away from the quality of the book, and that's my favorite.
And 1,000 Days, that's just what it was, of course, for JFK and what got done or didn't get done during that time period. What stands out for you out of the book about that time frame?
Well, I think what interested me the most was the time leading up to the election and the backroom dealings with Lyndon Johnson and with the members of the politicians of that era, and how Kennedy separated himself in terms of what he was and what he saw for the future of America and North America. And I think that the period leading up to the election and the convention is what fascinated me the most.
Rich Griffin, we really appreciate it. 1,000 Days is the book. Arthur Schlesinger is the author, and great to have a chance to talk with an outstanding writer in his own right. Thank you, Rich.
Thank you, Gary. I appreciate it.